Mr. Gaddis, if you are okay, it's about 6:35 according to my Apple Watch. So we are going to get started, if that's okay with you.
Sounds good. Thank you.
So, good evening, everyone. My name is Kirsten Williams. I'm the Chief Communications and Stakeholder Engagement Officer at DC Water, and we are so grateful that you could take time out of your spring break or you're planning for the Easter holiday or getting ready for Pedalpalooza, all of the many fun things that are going on, to take this moment to spend a not too long of a time with us this evening as we want to update you. I did want to go over a few housekeeping items. I'm going to be serving as your host for this evening. We will be recording this session, so we do ask that you hold your questions until the Q&A portion at the end of the presentation, and you will be able to pose a question via the chat, or we will go through the mechanics of how you can raise your hand to be called upon if you're calling from a phone or you're using your laptop or mobile device. And excuse me, I am bearing a little cold, so you'll have to forgive my coughing this evening. But the other aspects are we recognize that our virtual town halls are certainly one opportunity. We are going to be hosting two other in-person town halls next week. So for those of you who know that your neighbors could not participate this evening, that information is on our DC Water website. So without further ado, I am going to turn it over to our Chief Operating Officer, excuse me, Mr. Gaddis, your Chief Executive Officer and General Manager, David Gaddis, who will be conducting tonight's presentation along with our CFO, Matt Brown. Mr. Gaddis.
Thank you, Kirsten, very much. Good evening, and thanks for joining us tonight here at DC Water for our virtual town hall this evening. I am CEO and General Manager David Gaddis, and I'd like to wish a warm welcome to all of you this evening, our valued neighbors. At DC Water, our number one goal is to provide our customers with high quality water service in a safe, environmentally friendly, and efficient manner. So we are so grateful this evening to have you with us and to have and be able to have a conversation about how we are carrying out the mission of DC Water. Today's town hall we will go through a brief presentation covering the following: an overview of our operations within the district, an update on some specific ways DC Water is going above and beyond to serve the community, a review of DC Water's finances, and last but not least, but probably most important, we'll save plenty of time at the end of the Q&A to have Q&A this evening so that we can field any inquiries or concerns from all of you this evening. First, allow me to briefly introduce DC Water for the viewing public. We are an independent regional authority with board members from Maryland, Virginia, and working alongside the DC members, all of whom are appointed by our mayor, Mayor Bowser, and confirmed by the council. Chairman Tommy Wells has been leading our board of directors for the last 5 years, but effortlessly switches his proverbial ball cap to also lead the district's Department of Energy and Environment. So let's begin with a quick rundown of DC Water's operations. DC Water maintains a large service area providing drinking water, wastewater, and stormwater services to the district's roughly 700,000 residents, as well as our 21 million annual visitors. Providing safe drinking water and cleaning our city's wastewater is no minor undertaking. Our team manages a range of challenges beyond simply delivering water, one of the most significant of which is addressing our city's aging infrastructure. DC is an old city, and we all know that. And our 1,300 intercontinental pipes have a median age over 80 years. That means the average drinking water pipe was in 1942. Our 2,000 miles of sewer are similar state, average sewer line, but in place, they're in place, they're over 90 years of age. If you're doing the math, that brings you to about 1932 at the tail end of the Great Depression, with an expected life of about 100 years is about the expectancy of the pipe that is underground here in DC. Efficiently replacing aging infrastructure is a top priority for DC Water so that we can avoid costly and potentially dangerous service interruptions. Over the course of the last year and a half, DC Water took an exceptionally uh, inclusive approach to the development of the authority's new strategic plan, Blueprint 2.0. We engage customers, employees, board members, also civic groups, faith-based organizations, and of course, the mayor, council, and district agencies to gather input on the water-related issues that matter most to each constituency. We cast a wide net for several reasons. First, it builds trust and ongoing partnership with the community. Second, through dialogue, we can educate our stakeholders on competing demands that DC Water faces in the rate setting process. Finally, and most importantly, we cannot deliver equity to the community if we have not heard their input. At the end of our strategic planning process, we were able to identify the most significant challenges facing the authority and the 5 organizational imperatives that will be critical to our success over the next 5 years and beyond. Those 5 imperatives are healthy, safe, and well, reliable, resilient, sustainable, and last but not least, equitable. We are pleased to be the first municipal water utility to prepare and release an ESG report. Long before ESG became a commonly used acronym in boardrooms and on Wall Street, DC Water was already focused on the principles of environmental social governance. Let's start with the first one, environmental. Every day we treat 300 million gallons of water coming from across the greater Washington area. We clean that wastewater at Blue Plains Advanced Wastewater Treatment Plant, the world's largest advanced wastewater treatment plant. And also, we return it to the Potomac River, cleaner than the water already in the river. Social. At DC Water, we say that water is life, and we provide that safe drinking water to the district's families and businesses and nearly all of the federal government. We apply the principles of equitable engagement every time we interact with our customers, our employees, and our contractors. Governance. In everything we do at the authority, we have to practice good governance to deliver our work transparently and efficiently. Our finance policies and governance structure may seem mundane at times, but they cascade down to everything that we do on a day-to-day basis, enabling us to perform as a world-class utility. One of the things we are most proudest of is our lead-free DC initiative launched in 2019 to accelerate lead service line replacement in the district. DC has no lead water mains. However, there are about 28,000 privately owned lead service lines in the district, transporting water from the water main to in the middle of the street uh, into into the homes of about 28,000 individuals. Homeowner, this is typical in a number of your East Coast and large cities for homeowners to have lead service lines. And through Lead Free DC, we are committed to our goal of replacing all lead service lines by 2030. We can't undertake a project of this size on the backs of the ratepayers alone. So the federal funds federal funds are needed, and they are welcome as well. In participation with Mayor Bowser's office, we will do everything that we can to quickly put these dollars to work on replacement activities in the district. If you're unsure about the status of your home, we recommend you review the lead resources on our website. To check for lead service lines, find your address on dcwater.com/lead pipe. And that will get you to maybe look at some free testing, filter kits, and further information. You can also visit dcwater.com/lead. If you do have a lead pipe leading into your home, this is not a cause for panic at this point in time. You can rest assured that DC Water is doing everything possible to treat water in a way that ensures that lead does not get into the water as it enters your home. We are also proud of the work that we do improving water quality in the environment through our Clean Rivers project, which reduces runoff into the rivers that can happen when our sewer system becomes overwhelmed during periods of extreme rainfall. Through this project, we are significantly reducing this runoff by building large wastewater tunnels underneath the district and employing other creative solutions like green infrastructure and employing other creative solutions like green infrastructure and efficiently manage and contain stormwater. In FY 2021, we captured 12 billion gallons of combined sewage and 90 tons of trash that would have otherwise overflowed into the Anacostia River. Due to our hard work and the help of the environmental cleanup organizations, we have made massive improvements, once considered toxic and dangerous, to the Potomac and Anacostia rivers. They are now safe for recreation, and it is our mission to keep them that way. This undertaking is not cheap, but we are doing everything that in our power to make sure that we do the work efficiently. DC Water has worked with the federal government to save our customers over $47 million on this project, and we are continuing to work for the funding and financing options to carry out the program in a fiscally responsible manner. We're also proud to provide our residents with some of the most expansive and progressive range of customer assistance programs in the country. Our wide range of assistance options includes one-time emergency assistance payment plans for past due balances and ongoing discounted rates. We even had discounts for renters whose water bills are not in their name, something that very few utilities around the country are able to provide. In FY21, we provided more than $9.4 million in customer assistance to over 16,000 residents here in the district, offering much needed relief to our residents with the greatest level of need, and ensuring that residents have the tools they need to access our water services. The bottom line is, if you need help, we will work with you to find a solution, no matter what. Now, I'd like to turn over our presentation this evening to Matt Brown, our CFO, to give you an overview of our finances. Mr. Brown?
Mr. Gaddis, thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. As Mr. Gaddis said, I'm Matt Brown. I'm the CFO. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our rates and fees. So despite our best efforts, we must make some modest rate adjustments so that we can continue to provide our services and make investments in the infrastructure that delivers those services to you and to all of our customers. So under our rate proposal, the average household's payments will increase by about 6% in October. That's the beginning of our fiscal year 23, and about 5.4% in fiscal year 24. This is an estimated monthly increase in the average residential bill of about $7.05 in fiscal 23 and $6.79 in fiscal 24. So these are for the average residential customer, and in a bit I'm going to show you how you can assess how the proposal impacts your household. We have an online calculator. I'm going to make sure to point that out to you as we go through the presentation. And so you may ask, where are we spending this money? And let me tell you a little bit of where that money goes. I guess first of all, I want you to know that we don't make a profit. We're a nonprofit organization. So every dollar that comes to DC Water stays within our organization. We don't have shareholders to pay or things like that. So the dollars that come in rates are used to provide the services that we do every day, and are also used to make capital investments, infrastructure investments. So just some of the things that we spend some of the money on. $186 million goes to pay for Team Blue, about 1,100 men and women who deliver services for you and your families and your businesses every day. One initiative that we are implementing is that we're going to add to our workforce by about 73 people. So if you're looking for a job, know that DC Water's hiring, and you can find information on our website. In some instances, we found that it's more efficient, it's a better use of dollars to hire people to do work rather than to pay contractors to do that same work. So that's something that we're really excited about, trying to continue to find the best way to deliver services for you. We spend about $23 million sending money, the pilot and the right-of-way payments to the District of Columbia. So those are payments that we collect on your bill, and we pass to the District of Columbia. We pay the right-of-way for all that infrastructure that we have in the roads and sidewalks of the district. We spent about $82.6 million funding core operations, infrastructure, maintenance, repairs, strategic programs, legal compliance, all the things that we need to spend money on to keep our business going. We're continuing the backwater valve program, so that's about $700,000. That program helps prevent flooding on private property, and so I know that many of our customers have taken advantage of that program. It's still available for additional customers. We do spend a lot of our money, about a third of every dollar, servicing our debt. We borrow a lot of money in order to make some of the infrastructure improvements. And so about a third of every dollar here at DC Water goes to paying for the debt. And I'll talk about how we're spending that money in just a second. And then finally, just another item I'll point out. We spend a lot of money on chemicals and energy. You know, if you've carried a gallon of water around the house, how heavy water is and how expensive it is to operate those pumps to make it move. We move a lot of water at DC Water, 300 million gallons down to our wastewater treatment plant alone. So we spend a lot of money on energy, and we also spend a lot of money on chemicals, treating that wastewater so that when it goes into the rivers, Mr. Gaddis talked about, it's cleaner than the water that we find there. Next slide, please. We also make infrastructure improvements. So we have a lot of assets, including the Blue Plains wastewater treatment plant. And every year we spend money taking care of those assets to make sure that we can deliver services to you. $1.2 billion is what we have left to spend on the Clean Rivers program. Mr. Gaddis talked about that program. It's cleaning up the Potomac and Anacostia rivers, as well as the Rock Creek. That program will be done by fiscal year 30, but we've got about $1.2 billion to go. Another place that we spend our money is at the Washington Aqueduct. We purchase our water from the Washington Aqueduct that's operated by the Corps of Engineers, but that facility doesn't receive any federal support. And so we, like other customers, contribute to their infrastructure upgrades so that they can continue to provide clean water. We're also, Mr. Gaddis talked about the Lead-Free DC program. We budgeted about $629 million over the next 10 years in order to accomplish his goal of removing all lead lines by 2030. And then finally, I'll touch on the water and the sewer infrastructure. So we have water and sewer pipes in every road in the district, nearly all of them. We're going to spend $1.2 billion improving small diameter water mains, replacing those lines. There's very, very old lines, in some cases are more than 80 years old. And then also replacing the small sewer lines. Again, those sewer lines that run through your streets and take wastewater from your house and deliver it down to Blue Plains. We want to keep that system in good shape. And so we're spending about $1.4 billion over the next 10 years on that program as well. Next slide, please. So this is what the rates look like. And again, and in just a little bit, I'm going to show you where you can go online and understand how the rate proposal impacts you, because we all use different amounts of water and we all have different meter sizes. We all have different amounts of impervious area. So I won't go through all these numbers. There's a lot here. but let me go through a few things just to highlight. The first thing is the residential rate. So for the first 4 CCFs, it's a strange way to measure water. It's how we do it here. It's about 3,000 gallons. So for the first 3,000 gallons of water that residential customers use, we charge the lowest rate. That's important for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's a good incentive. If you can conserve water and use less, you pay less. So that's a good thing. It also helps you save money. So that for those two reasons, we offer the lifeline rate. Residential customers that use more than that 4 CCFs pay a little bit more. So for greater than 4 CCFs or above 4 CCFs, the rates is higher. The next highest rate is charged for multifamily customers. So that's apartment buildings, condo buildings, and the DC Housing Authority. And then we charge a final rate, the non-residential rate, for all of our other customers. And so in fiscal year 23, that non-residential rate, just to orient you on the table, would be $5.78, and then increase to $5.89 in fiscal year 24. We charge a single sewer rate for all of our customers. So that's $10.64 now, will increase to $11.26 next year. I mentioned earlier the pilot and the right-of-way, those two items that we collect on your bill and pass to the District of Columbia. Those are listed next. So the pilot, 59 cents, will go to 61 cents in fiscal year 24. And then the right-of-way fee, there is no change. It'll remain 19 cents. Next slide, there's the Clean Rivers Impervious Area Charge. That's one of the main ways that we're paying for the Clean Rivers program. And just a question that we get a lot is who pays that fee? And the answer is everyone. All of our customers, from the federal government to the District of Columbia, commercial establishments and residential customers, all share in the cost of that program, because we're all benefiting from cleaner rivers. That fee is actually going to go down a little bit in fiscal year 23 to $18.14, and then we'll go back up in fiscal year 24 as we continue towards that 2030 goal of completing that program. There's a stormwater fee that we charge. Those funds are provided to the District Department of Energy and Environment for their stormwater programs. And then there are two fees that will not change. One is the customer metering fee. This is a fee that's based on the size of your meter. So most residential customers have a 5/8 inch meter, and so that's $7.75 and will remain so. And then another fee that we charge based on meter size is called the water system replacement fee. We use that money to help with the small diameter water main rehabilitation. So again, those are those water lines on your street. So that replacement program, that's $6.30 for a 5-inch meter, and that remains the same as well. So that fee does not change over under the rate proposal. Mr. Gaddis talked about some of our customer assistance programs. They're really important. I want to touch on them again. One of the great things we do at DC Water is we don't just have one single program for customers. We have 3 different programs depending on income levels. And so CAP 1 is our program that's been in effect for a long time. If you're a family of 4 and you make $129,000 or less, that's household income of $129,000 or less. I'm sorry, I said the wrong number. That's the CAP 3. I apologize. So for CAP 4, it's $82,000. Apologies for getting that wrong. So $82,000 for CAP 1 for family of 4. For CAP 2, it's $103,200, and for CAP 3, it's at $129,000. Some people ask if we offer senior programs. We absolutely do. Seniors qualify for these programs, and just to give you an idea, if you're a senior with a household of 2 members or less, at $103,000 for household income, you can qualify. And if you're a single person household, the income limit is $90,000. So if you think you might qualify, visit us on our website and apply for those programs. We want all those who are eligible for those programs to participate. We also have a one-time program, so members of our board of directors, employees here at DC Water, and many of you through the Roundup program on your bill contribute to what we call Splash. That's a program that's administered by the Greater Washington Urban League. That's to help our customers who have one-time needs, they lose a job or have high medical bills, something like that, are able to apply through the Greater Washington Urban League for one-time assistance. And then there are some additional programs. One is called the RAP, or the Residential Assistance Program. We launched this program during COVID to help customers who had been negatively impacted. we allocated $3 million and have been able to extend that program to the new fiscal year. So again, a lot of programs. Mr. Gaddis went through some of them. If you think you might be eligible, please visit us on our website. The next program is the Multifamily Assistance Program. Mr. Gaddis talked about this one as well. This is one of the very first programs in the country where we've been able to provide assistance to customers who use our water but don't have an account. If you live in an apartment building, the bill is paid centrally. And so we've launched a program to help customers who have been negatively impacted by COVID. Again, that's one that's been extended into the new fiscal year as well. There's another program that you may be familiar with called Stay DC that was offered through the District of Columbia, again, to help customers who needed some help with utility assistance. And then there's a new program that's pretty exciting. It's called the Low Income Household Water Assistance Program. This is one of the very first time that the federal government has really helped us and utilities across the country, water utilities across the country, provide assistance. So that's a program that we're rolling out now to customers to provide assistance on their bills. And again, that email address is at the bottom there. For information, please go to dcwater.com/CAP. I mentioned this earlier. So this is the tool that I really like. We all use different amounts of water. We all have different amounts of impervious area. Our meter sizes are different. And so if you want to see how this rate proposal impacts you, you can take your water bill with a few pieces of information, the meter size, the amount of impervious area, and the amount of water that you use, and you can enter that information. And then the online calculator will show you what you're paying now, and then it gives you a projection of what you'll be paying under the rate proposal that we have before you. All right, so Kirsten, I think that concludes my piece, and I'll turn it over to you. Thank you very much.
No, thank you, Matt. It is when you're multitasking, both sliding the presentation and making sure that I was getting prepared for the next slide. We had a little hiccup there. So thank you for turning it back over to me. So we are now at the Q&A portion of tonight's presentation. And I certainly, again, we are so grateful that you all have taken time, and we want to make sure we utilize this moment to address any questions that you might have, be it about our proposed rate adjustment or any other DC water matters. So for a few rules of engagement, we do have two different opportunities for you to raise your hand to be called upon. So I know this is not like the old school elementary, but at the top of the Teams, you will see how you can raise your hand through the reactions. We will then admit you to do that. And if you're calling on your phone, you can raise your hand to speak again to press *5, and we will unmute you to do that. But if you don't want to raise your hand and ask your question out loud, no worries. You can submit it in the chat as well. We'll be following that. So at this moment, Mr. Gaddis, we don't have any hands, but I will let people have a moment to raise their hand if they do. Oh, great. So the telephone number, I'm going to use your last 4 digits. So 2909. Emmanuel, if you could let this neighbor in, that would be great. Okay, I believe you are now unmuted.
Yes, you're unmuted.
Thanks. We can't hear you if you're asking your question. Oh. Now we can hear you, yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am, we can.
Okay. All right. I have a question about the lead replacement program. I got information about it. I shared it with other residents, and then we were told we were not in the MAP area. So I'm wondering how is that service offered? Is it not open to every resident of the district, or how does it operate?
Mr. Gaddis, do you want to?
Yeah, I'll start out. It's a program. It is offered to all of the residents in DC if you have a lead service line. So the very first thing that has to be done is we have to be able to identify if you have a lead service line. And I don't know if that was done if you went to our website and took a look at that to see if you had a lead service line, or you can actually call us as well, and we'll be more than happy to help you. I don't know who may have told you that you didn't, it wasn't in your area, but the only reason that would be is if you did not have a lead service line.
What number do I call?
Let me, and I can bring that site, that page back up for you, ma'am. This information is there, and you probably have, just to piggyback off of what Mr. Gaddis was saying, we are doing a very robust campaign right now to educate our residents about our lead-free DC initiative. And this, the lead map is a great tool to start with. And if you don't have access to a website, we certainly will have your number, and we'll have our lead services division give you a call back and make sure we walk you through each one of those opportunities. As Mr. Gaddis noted, it is a multi-year program. It is continuing on until 2030. So there are some neighborhoods that currently don't have lead service lines, or that where we have identified we may not be coming to your neighborhood this particular year, but it's still great that you engage us so we can continue to share information with you. And there are other opportunities as well that you have, that you can do it on your own. If you wanted to, there's a individual side that you can replace on your own resource through the District Department of Energy and Environment. That's one opportunity as well. But our website has a host of information of how you can participate in each one of those programs. But that's there on the screen. I hope you can see that. But we have your number as well, and we'll make sure that that division gives you a call back to talk through your particular neighborhood.
The only other thing I would add, Ms. Williams, is that if the caller is speaking to our block by block program that we have right now, your area may not be up as of yet, is maybe what you were told. We're attempting to do the block by block as we're replacing some of the water main, the aging water main as well, and also those areas that have a high concentrate of lead in those water samples that we're taking. Not to the point where they're dangerous, but we're measuring them as well, and that's part of the whole equity piece for us, and making sure that we're taking care of the people that need it most. And so that could be the issue as well. And I think Emmanuel was going to say, I thought I heard Emmanuel, but maybe I didn't.
Yeah. Yes, Mr. Gaddis. I was also going to say that we do have a representative from our lead-free DC team on the line tonight. So I think he's taking notes, Mr. McNally, and he can reach out to you as well.
Thank you, Emmanuel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there are a few questions, excuse me, in the chat, Mr. Gaddis. So the next one, is there a DC mandate that will require homeowners, property owners, to replace lead service lines on private property before a certain date, e.g. before the end of 2030, in order to ensure that DC meets its lead-free DC goal?
We have not gotten to a point where it's a mandate at this point in time. We're trying to do everything we can to make it as easy as we can on the customer and as least expensive as possible as well. And that's one reason we're doing the block by block and also allowing individuals to do it as they may see fit. I think Ms. Keisha Powell is present as well this evening for our COO. And I didn't know if Keisha, if you had anything you'd like to add to that.
Yes, sir, you're exactly right. The only thing that I would add is that our Department of Legal and Government Affairs is working with other stakeholders to look at potential policy measures that would drive the replacement of lead service lines. But thanks to the work of our OMAC team, working with our engineering group, participation is actually up in the last two areas of the block by block program that we have implemented.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Powell.
Mr. Gaddis, there's just one more chat question in the chat. will DC Water use the Build Back Better funds to accelerate creek bed sewer rehab programs?
I
Right.
would tell you that we are going to utilize those funds as best that we can. Again, I would ask Ms. Powell if she would like to chime in on this question.
Sure. We have identified priority projects for funding. We are working to better understand how much funding we will get through those funds that first go to the district, and the projects that we have prioritized, or the creek bed sewer projects, are among the projects that we have prioritized to move forward should we get those external funds, and we're pursuing other grant funds as well.
And thank you, Ms. Powell. And I would add that Ms. Powell is exactly right in what she stated, but and not a but also with that, we are targeting our small diameter pipes as well in the funding that we may get, because this does improve water quality across the district, and also takes down the amount of time from a main break for an individual to be without water as well. But as Ms. Powell said, we're trying to identify how much we're going to get, and then that will determine for us as to what will we do with those funds. But her group, the engineering group, is working very, very hard to prioritize that funding depending on what we may get, and the projects as well.
Mr. Gaddis, so our lead-free DC program is being really talked about, which is fantastic. So we have
That is
another
great.
cat. I know, I'm super excited about that. So the question states, or the chat states, please describe the process of removing the lead service lines. Do you dig up to the home?
So that is a great question. We no longer do partial lead service line replacements, and what that means is that we would dig to the property line, and then at that point in time make the replacement, and leave on the private side that lead service line if the homeowner could not afford it. We are now looking to replace the entire line all the way up to the home. If there is lead all the way up to the home, we are looking to replace that entire lead service line. It does not do us any good, and it doesn't eliminate lead if we only do a partial replacement.
Okay. So the next question is a follow-up again regarding our lead-free DC program, and it's another fantastic question. It states, if you can disclose areas where the block-by-block outreach efforts have occurred so far, is there a specific focus on any neighborhoods, such as those east of the river, where we know that environmental injustices and inequities disproportionately occur?
So I think that that's an Emmanuel question again, or Ms. Powell. And if they could help us out, they do a great job. Emmanuel does a fantastic job of knowing where these projects are, or Ms. Powell as well.
I can take a stab. I'm actually going to also call out Mr. McNally, who's on the line, because he
Okay,
actually
great.
manages that database. I know that in kicking off this program, we did a lot of extensive outreach across the city. We were really heavily focused in wards 7 and 8 to kick things off. But again, we have been in wards 1, 5, 6 on sort of a rolling basis. Derek, if you're on the line, if you can chime in with some more specific information in terms of that sort of block by block and the direction.
And before you do, Derek, I just one, I'd be remiss if I did not acknowledge this, and I know Ms. Powell will appreciate that when we originally developed our lead-free DC plan in 2019, we started ramping up and trying to determine where those projects and things were going to occur, as Mr. Gaddis noted, in proportion or in relation to our small diameter water main projects. Just recently, we did reevaluate that program, really looking exactly at what you noted. And I'm going to say, Holly, I apologize not knowing your last name, about the environmental justices and inequities that are actually, very prevalent in the district. So we redeveloped our plan based upon an ADI index, looking at all those vulnerable communities where children are located. Again, the areas where financially those residents may have some challenges. That's why we're working in concert with the district to ensure that when we do the block by block outreach, that we're making sure we're touching on those residents, working again with our DC public schools to understand where children may be located. Again, trying to understand all of the challenges that historically the district might have faced east of the river. So yes, to your question, we have certainly started in Ward 7, and we are currently having projects in Ward 5 in the Woodridge neighborhood. And we're starting to get a lot of traction and support, again, because we're thinking about equitably, how do we ensure those residents are aware of the program, they understand the challenges and complexities that it involves, to your point, all of the technical aspects that go into identifying whether they even have lead service lines, but really wanting to most notably make sure they take advantage of the free opportunities that are there. So these are fantastic questions. And Derek, I'm sorry I jumped ahead of you, but I just wanted to let her know that we did really reevaluate this program under the lens of an environmental justice perspective.
Yes, good evening. Just to compliment what has been said by Ms. Williams as well. The first year of the program, we have been focusing in wards. We started the project in Ward 7 and Wards 8. We have been moving across the district, but about 145 blocks in total, and 35 of those blocks with about 700 plus homes across Wards 7 and 8, working their way from east to west across the district. So there has been a variety of locations focusing on the social equity and the most vulnerable populations. And just to answer the question, east of the river, yes, Ward 7 and 8 have been a focus where we started the project this year.
So, Mr. Gaddis, the next question is again another follow-up about lead-free DC. Do you cover up the ground after replacing the lines, or does the homeowner have to take care of that?
Oh, great question. We do the restoration, and that's one of the great things I think about this type of project. When we get done and the restoration is in place, we try and leave the area in better shape, and I think that we do a good job of this, leaving it in better shape than what it was when we before we started. If we cut in the street, we pave curb to curb. If we destroy or damage any of in any of the sidewalk or curbs, we replace all those. Trees as well that may be damaged during this type of a project, we replace those as well. So the restoration is full restoration across the board when we're out doing these types of projects.
This is fantastic. We are again excited that the Lead Free DC initiative is actually getting a lot of traction. We're certainly working very diligently to make sure the district residents who do have lead service lines, know about it and know of the opportunities, again, be it that they want to replace it themselves or take advantage of those, opportunities that are there to financially have some assistance with that. So, Mr. Gaddis, those are all of the questions in the chat, and I don't see any hands raised, but before we close, I will be remiss if I did not give people a moment to raise their hands. Again, if you are on the phone, oh, we do. So Ms. Brooks, Emmanuel, if you want to allow Ms. Brooks to ask a question.
Ms. Brooks is unmuted.
Thank you. Ms. Brooks, we can't hear you if you're asking a question, but take your time. We all know how the the challenges of virtual technology.
What's the number that I can contact again?
She asked Kirsten, I think, what is the phone number she can contact someone on regarding, I think it's lead-free DC, I think.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. We're going to put that in the chat. So we'll add that number. And now, since we've been having such a good discussion about lead-free DC, I will put that up. You've just given me another tip that we need to make sure, Mr. Gaddis, for our next town halls that we put that number on our slide too. But we will
Great.
put the number for our lead-free DC line, Ms. Brooks, and there's a fantastic team that will answer your questions there. But thanks for that.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Well, I don't see any other questions. Mr. Gaddis, before we do turn it over to you to close, I just wanted to again remind our neighbors of this opportunity, the importance, again, to thank you for engaging us. There is a formal process that our board of directors have that's on the screen. There is a hearing on Wednesday, May the 11th at 6:30 p.m. It is virtual. But if you're familiar with DC Council hearings, you can either submit your comments in writing, or you can come and participate again in that process to, let our board of directors know your thoughts regarding our proposed rates, because these are, proposed and the board will fully adopt. We go through a very robust and transparent process. These town hall meetings are, again, our opportunity to educate you. We are continuing to work with our Office of Cable Television partners, our media partners, social media, our advisory neighborhood commissions, to make sure you have all of the tools and information you need to educate yourselves. We know CCF is a term we use, but like Matt said, that resource on how you can go in to make an estimate of what your proposed bill might be and the increase is certainly something to take advantage of. So with that, Mr. Gaddis, I'm going to turn it over to you to close.
Thank you very much, Ms. Williams. And first of all, let me thank everyone for joining us this evening. It's been a fantastic meeting this evening. So thank you very much for that. And I also want to thank Team Blue for making themselves present this evening and chipping in and answering some of the questions that came before us this evening. Our time has come to a close this evening, though, and so I want to thank everyone very much. DC Water is many, many things to this community. And, one of them is we deliver life-sustaining water for more than, as I stated earlier, 700,000 residents and wastewater services for communities across the district and also in parts of Maryland and Virginia suburbs. We're an economic engine. We truly believe that, and we know that we are an economic engine. We supply jobs. Mr. Brown talked about that we're hiring. So we want people to come and apply for jobs, training opportunities. We have apprenticeship programs that are some of the best we think best in the district, but one of the best in the country when it comes to water utilities that we have in place. And we have contract opportunities for small businesses. And, the apprenticeship program, the contract program, Mr. Corey Gray, Vice President of that area, has done a fantastic job of building those programs up and making them what they are today. We're restoring the environment through our Clean Rivers project, which will steadily improve the health of both the Anacostia and the Potomac rivers through capturing and cleaning the combined overflows before returning that water to our waterways. And then finally, through the lead-free DC program that we had a lot of discussion about tonight, and we love it that people are interested in that, which will eliminate lead service lines across the district by 2030. We offer water equity to our customers in historically underserved communities, and we spoke a lot about that tonight. And all that means a lot to us here at DC Water. I want to conclude by saying thank you all very, very much for joining us this evening. Please go and enjoy the great weather that we have and have a great weekend and a great Easter to everyone out there. Thank you very much.